kiddos! Today we're going to be reading a story and making connections. Our learning target is I can make connections by noticing the ways this story is like things in my life. This will help me understand the story. So when you're reading, there are a few different kind of connections you can make that help you understand the story. You probably are doing these already without even realizing. The three kinds of connections you can make when you're reading are text to self, when things in the story remind you about stuff in your life. There's also text to text, when the stuff in a book reminds you of another book you've read. Or maybe it reminds you of a movie or a comic book or things like that. So we have text to self, where it reminds you of stuff from your life. Text to text, where it reminds you of another book or story. And the last kind of connection you can make is text to world. That's when something in a story reminds you about something that happened in your community, or something you've seen on the news, or read or heard about in history. In second grade, we focus mostly on text to self, and then as you become stronger and stronger readers in third grade and fourth grade and whatnot, we get into the other connections. But it would not surprise me at all to hear you start making these already, because as you're reading, your brain makes connections all the time. So, connections help us understand. Let's take a look at the story we're going to be understanding today. This is a really cute fantasy story called The Great Fuzz Frenzy. Remember, a frenzy is when people or animals are just going crazy. So they're just really excited about something. Fantasies are stories that are totally made up and couldn't really happen. You might see animals that talk and act like people. It'll definitely have a beginning, a middle, and end, like most stories. And pay attention to where the setting is, where the story takes place. We talked about our purpose, or our target, is to make connections by finding ways the text is like things in your life and other stories you've read. Last week, we talked about our power words, the vocabulary words in the story. Remember, gasped is when you go, maybe in surprise or shock. A frenzy is when you're just going crazy about something. A battleground is a place where a battle or a fight happens. And a feud is a disagreement or an argument or something like that. So, your job is to go get your My Book and meet us on page 149. It looks a bit like this. Once you're there, you have a choice. You can read it to yourself, or you can switch to the other video in this lesson to listen to someone read it out loud. As you read it, be sure to make lots of connections and be ready to come to our meeting today and talk about the connections you make. That's almost all for this video, but I want to talk to you about an optional writing project. At the very end of this story, on page 182, there is a writing project in your My Book. You don't have to do this, but it's good practice for writing. If you choose to do it and you need help, you can come to office hours. In this writing activity, you're going to be practicing writing invitations. You'll do a plan, and you will do some writing. The idea for this invitation is the prairie dogs are going to have a party, and what could they say to persuade other prairie dogs to come join the fun and join the party? So this week, the writing is not required, but it's a great idea if you want to stretch your writing skills. However, the most important thing you're going to do this week in this lesson is read The Great Fuzz Frenzy and make connections to yourself, to other stories, or even to real life and the rest of the world. I'm excited to talk about this story at our meeting today. That's all for now. See you in the next video.